It's really a showcase of how fantastic Zendaya is. We basically get her Emmy clip, and she's probably going to win because of this episode alone. Hey guys, welcome back to Canon Cinema. I'm Amanda, otherwise known as AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Today, I will be reviewing Season 2, Episode 5 of Euphoria. Now, I always put a disclaimer at the beginning of each review just because we are going to get into some heavy topics, especially in Episode 5. So this is just your warning ahead of time. Season 2 has been so messy. Episode 1 started off strong, and then it was just all downhill from there in regards to the writing for each character. And I feel like Rue just got lost in the mix of everything. Meanwhile, it's really her show. It's her show. She's been narrating. It's all her show. It's really a showcase of how fantastic Zendaya is. We basically get her Emmy clip, and she's probably going to win because of this episode alone. But when it's more Rue-focused, Rue-centric, whatever you want to say, that's where the writing is at its strongest, because I do think Zendaya has a hand in writing for Rue and her character, because she knows her through and through, more so than Sam Levinson, to be perfectly honest. I didn't really like the direction in this episode. I felt like it was a bit all over the place. The editing, again, is all over the place. I don't know what they're doing. The visuals, I think, weren't as strong as the previous episodes. The cinematography was lacking a bit. But the writing in this episode, holy Lord, the physical and emotional connection that Zendaya put into delivering these lines to her mother, to her sister, and all three of them just worked magic with the script that they had. It was just so powerful, so heartbreaking to watch Rue have this breakdown, essentially, and just see her mood changing with each piece of information that she's given, each new thought that pops into her head. It just keeps shifting. And the beginning of this episode, oh man, it locked you in. It locked you in. That's all I can say. It put you in a trance of what Zendaya was doing with her performance when Rue was talking to, her sister and her mom, as I said. And then you get Elliot and Jules in the mix, where they're just lounging in the kitchen in the living room while Rue's arguing with her mom and her sister. That didn't make sense to me, where she just finds out that they're there and then finds out that Elliot and Jules ratted Rue out to her mom. And it's this should have just been in one specific area, not that she's discovering that they're there. I think the direction was a bit flawed to present this in that way. I would have done it a bit differently. It just didn't make any sense to me. But Zendaya did post that she hopes that this episode specifically just helps others understand how difficult it can be to live with an addiction, as she does say that it is a disease, and just for people to be a bit more understanding and patient with those who are suffering, and to always lend a hand and be kind and just try to go through the process with them if it does get bad. So I just think that this episode is really important. It's a really hard watch. I'm not saying this show isn't hard to watch. It's extremely hard to watch, but there's a veil in front of you, in front of me, if I have to say, is that I'm watching them as characters, but I'm more so watching them as actors playing these characters. I'm not invested in the character journey. I'm more invested in how the actors are taking their characters and kind of elevating their performances in each episode. And I think Z really does that in this episode. Like I said, it has Emmys written all over it. I really do hope that she gets nominated at least, and I hope that she does win, because it was just fantastic work from her. Her stunt double also posted, and it was really interesting to see what was done with Rue in this case. And it was just really physical, breaking down doors, jumping fences, just being a full-on track star in this episode. So kudos to her as well. Still talking about that opening scene, as much as I want to say Jules was there, she was really understanding. Of course, she went to her mom and said that I'm not mad at Jules for ratting her out. What I am mad at is that Jules has the audacity to sit there and say to Rue that she still loves her after cheating on her with Elliot, as if she's doing some grand service in trying to help her now. I think that that is a load of BS. I think that no one knowing how bad it was for Rue prior to this episode is also a load of BS. So it just didn't make any sense to me, especially Elliot, who also does drugs and can tell the difference of when someone is high on which type of drug. Like, that doesn't make any sense how Elliot just didn't know that it was that bad. It doesn't make sense, Sam Levinson. So fix up the structure of your season, because no one knowing Rue just doing weed, like, come on. Realistically, it doesn't make sense. So Jules sitting there saying all of that, and then Rue snapped. Rue snapping at Jules, literally telling her everything that hurt her in the first place from season 1, I think was necessary. I think it was long overdue. Rue had every right to say what she said to Jules, and I'm kind of happy she did. This is the issue. I wouldn't dislike Rue and Jules together as much as I do. Like, I do not care for the relationship whatsoever. What they could have done to make me like them is, I don't know, make these characters communicate their feelings a bit better. You had Rue completely yelling at Jules. Like, this communication issue is what makes me dislike both of them in this relationship. Then you have Rue just trying to break out of there. She agrees with her mom to go to the hospital, and then halfway through that conversation in the car, she changes her mind. Straight up changes her mind. You can see that Rue is literally going through withdrawals in this episode, and in that moment, she changed her mind again. She got out of the car and she just booked it down the street. She's still upset that her mom basically flushed all the pills down the toilet. She's stressed over the fact that she doesn't have the money. And then she breaks into this house. She breaks into the safe to get like jewelry and some cash to show Lori, or else she's really screwed basically. And after all that happens, while she's on the run, literally going from house to house, alleyway to alleyway, busting up birthdays and parties, going through it with like the cops after her, she finally goes to Lexi's house. And the Howards are a lot of fun. So you go to Lexi's house and all the girls are there. Maddie gives Rue a big hug. Rue is in so much pain because she's going through withdrawal. She just wants to go to the bathroom, but everyone's talking to her, yada, yada, yada. Her mom catches up to her. They're all there. And Rue is just sitting there on the staircase in pain. It's an intervention, whatever you want to call it. And this is when the most interesting part of the episode happens, and I think that this placement was just a throwaway, and I hate the fact that Maddie had to find out that Cassie was screwing Nate from Rue when she was in withdrawal. I think that that was just the dumbest way to do that, because no one's caring about that little tidbit of information when Rue is literally going off the deep end here and getting worse. It just didn't make sense to plant that seed in this episode. Again, I understand why. I think it was kind of a misstep to have Rue say it. Just didn't make any sense to me. I would have rather like Maddie find out by seeing them herself. Like, it just doesn't sit well with me, because it was like a Rue heavy episode, and then you just have that little tidbit, which is the more interesting narrative in the entire season, and you put it on the back burner to save it for episode 6, which again, like, the way that this is structured just does not sit right with me. I was more engaged in what was happening with Maddie and Cassie, and then we have to sit with Rue and finish her episode. So like, again, the writing is just really weird this season. it should be better considering the subject matter and where the focus is. I feel like Rue's focus was completely lost the entire season because you had other things overpowering it. So, and I understand that like you wanted her to go unnoticed where people don't really pay attention. No one's really listening to her or like catching on that she's getting worse. Like I get all of that and why you want to like have that love triangle overpower Rue. I get all of that. Did not like the throwaway of Maddie finding out whatsoever. After Rue drops this bomb, she dips while Maddie and Cassie book it back upstairs. They're obviously going to have an argument and Rue just escapes. So Rue's trying to go to, you know, Fez's house and Rue knows that there'll be some form of drugs there because she's absolutely losing it. She ends up pissing Fez off. She wants to take his grandmother's pills from the cabinet and he's like, no, not in my house. You're completely off of it. Rue ends up fighting with Fez. Again, very physical episode, such a physical episode. So Fez ends up throwing Rue out of the house. The night is still not over. Rue has this genius idea after, you know, stealing the money and the jewelry that she did to kind of make up for the drugs being flushed down the toilet. As I said before, I kind of misplaced where and when she got the money and stole it. So she ends up, after going to Fez, she ends up going to Lori. Why would you go to a drug dealer's house where you don't have the full money in your hand and, you know, you're in withdrawal? So she's obviously thinking, I can get something from Lori. The sketchiest moment of the entire episode. I don't trust Lori. Obviously, a lot of people shouldn't trust Lori. I don't care how calm her voice is. Rue is going through massive withdrawals. And Lori sees this and she's trying to understand how she's feeling. Like she knows that she's not going to get the money in time. She doesn't look like someone who's going to get the money in time. So Lori ends up making a couple of remarks. She might, you know, sell Rue, sell her body in order to make up for the $5,000 that she gave out. So that's what they're kind of alluding to. There's a lot of birds in cages, a lot of shots of that in the house. But Rue is in so much pain that she asked Lori to help her. And this is where I was just completely messed up with this. I do appreciate the framing in this particular scene because it was a lot to handle. You saw Lori help Rue into the bathtub, like strip her down because she's just not feeling it. She's vomiting. She's just really, really bad. And she's asking Lori if she has anything to help her. And Lori's like, the only thing that will help you right now is morphine, like directly injecting morphine. And Rue's like, I've never tried that, but honestly, I'll take anything right now. And it just, I can't. I literally can't. It was heavy. It's very heavy. It was an intense moment because then she shuts off, completely knocks out, and she has flashbacks to when she was a kid, which the kid is absolutely adorable. She has flashbacks to her dad. What her dad said to her is that every single time you close your eyes, you can see me, you'll be with me. Those are where the memories are. So it just links everything together as to why Rue needs that high when she closes her eyes to have that connection to her dad, a bit more lifelike. Maybe you don't know what she hallucinates. So after she comes to in Lori's apartment still, she doesn't know where the hell she is, and she tries to find her bearings. She sees the deadbolt on the door. She tries to open the deadbolt with the keys. Nothing's working, but she did hear something behind. She opens up the window and tries to sneak out while Lori's like boy toy husband, whatever you want to call him, is about to like get out of his room and see Rue book it. I also don't know how Rue jumped from a 2-story like built. I don't know how she did that without breaking her legs, but damn, that was a lot. But this was like the longest night ever. And then she ended up going back home. When I say that this show literally takes years off of our lives when we watch it, the anxiety spike that we get is just unreal. It's next level. The performances are always, always good. I don't know what to expect going into episode 6. I'm just really curious how Sam Levinson's gonna move forward from any of this. I don't know how the season's going to end. I haven't seen any of the leaks, but I'm just really interested to see where these characters are going to go. But this episode, it's an important one to watch. It's very, very emotional. It's a hard watch. And I just hope the writing gets better. So that was episode 5. We'll see what happens in episode 6. I will be stressed. You will be stressed. If you guys enjoyed this review, please like and subscribe. You can always follow me over at AMX ND Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. I'll catch you guys next time. Keep watching movies.